because I've had so many falls and I've faced so much adversity and I've fallen short so many times. I've been imperfect so many times.
Yeah.
It is pretty surreal in that, you know, to finally achieve what we always knew we were capable of achieving. It's a beautiful thing.
How do you feel now being the strongest 93 kilogram lifter in the world?
You're world champion. World record holder on the bench.
This is an extremely confident young man.
When you know you are meant to be more and you are not where you believe you are meant to be, that's where the dissonance is created. You have everything you need to be great is already within you. That's the beautiful part. That's been given to us. But it takes work. It takes time. It takes a grind. It takes a trying soul to want to achieve that. Let me apply myself, give everything I have to everything I do, because my name's attached to it. I care about it. It's a principle. It's part of who you are. And again, it's not about the outcome. It's not about the fucking test. It's the fact that you chose to apply yourself and give everything you had. That's the meat of it. That's what matters.
Yo, you're one of the OG, like, I remember you when guys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So because of that, you guys feel obligated to be like, yes, John. Yes, John. We're not doing that.
Gavin actually would be more inclined to be a yes, John, if it wasn't so polarizing from everybody else. Like, if everybody else wasn't a yes, John, then you'd be a little more yes, John. But you're like, I had to go to the other side.
No, I've given you in private. Yes. I've given you a lot of like, I'm proud of it. I mean, and I am, you know that.
Yes.
So we've had those conversations.
We have had a really good relationship of what is the opposite of a mentor? Like a protege, right? We've had a good dynamic of like mentor protege throughout our entire life cycle of being friends of like 4 years. Yeah. Like sometimes I'm the mentor, sometimes you're the mentor, and we both listen to one another.
I think so.
And I think we're both very proud of one another. Like when you win, I win.
I know for sure I'm very proud of it.
I've never felt like, man, I'm a little jealous of what he has. I'm always like, man, I'm so happy. Because think about it. First time I met you, like you were still just struggling to get on Instagram. Couldn't figure it out. And I was like, why don't you just do this? And so I literally saved your life.
You kind of did.
That's why I'm so proud of you, because I'm like kind of a part of it.
You know, it's funny. I don't even want to say it, but I'm pretty sure you weren't the one who came up with the idea to start filming the initial TikToks. That literally in your mind. So remember, like the Hey Man. We were at a gym in Norwood, and I'm 99.9% sure you weren't the one who had the original idea.
You even think of saying somebody else's name right now?
I was gonna say that person's name because I'm pretty sure they're the ones who had the idea.
That is ridiculous.
They filmed the first few with me, and then
because I wasn't there, dude.
So then, how could you have had the original idea and not have been there?
Let's not dive into details. Anyway, welcome back to On the Rocks podcast. Host Johnny, Gavin, welcome back. First question I have for you is, how do you feel about the new setup?
I think it's beautiful. I think it's great. Definitely better. Quite an improvement. Quite an improvement. The setup prior was good. I like the setup. This is better. I'm like, I don't know. I can be a little anal about like the details. These chairs, way better than the chairs you had before. Yeah. You know, just being able to sit across from you. And I mean, before, I think your dad was on the podcast, right?
He was.
So it's not that it's frustrating or annoying to have more than one other person aside from myself, but sometimes it's a little distracting because I want to give you my full attention, you know? So if your dad's on or if somebody else is on, sometimes it's tough because it's almost too many voices.
Yeah, you know? There's an interesting dynamic between like a 2-person versus 3 or 4-person podcast. They're just different. Like if we had 2 more people on this, it's more of just like a crazy conversation and we can get derailed pretty quickly. But if I want to have you on as a guest and really learn about whatever it may be, we lose that by having 2 other people on. You know what I mean? Like we're gonna get into some crazy juicy details about how to become a world champion powerlifter, but also for the normies, how to just get jacked. And there's a lot of things that we can debunk on this episode, but we're gonna start by just asking you the question, how do you feel now being the strongest 93 kilogram lifter in the world?
It's funny. It's bittersweet when I hear you say that because it sounds great, but at the same time, the overachiever in me feels like it's an undeserved title. You know, there's just always something. Yeah, it was a phenomenal achievement. It was also a gift, man. Like I've been. I mean, you've known me for a while, so I started powerlifting probably about 4 or 5 years ago, and you met me, I would say, pretty much right at the start of that. Maybe I was a year in by that point. I had been lifting for 7 to 8 years prior to. But to say that I was at the level I am now in the sport would be That just wouldn't be the right thing to say, right? It wouldn't be accurate. It wouldn't be correct. And so it's pretty crazy to see how far we've come, because I've had so many falls and I've faced so much adversity and I've fallen short so many times. I've been imperfect so many times. And so it is pretty surreal in that, to finally achieve some sliver of what we always knew we were capable of achieving. It's a beautiful thing. And it's an amazing moment to be able to share with my family was there. My girlfriend was there. People that believe in me, they were there. Except for you.
Yeah, I know. I was waiting for it. Continue, please.
I had to.
Yeah.
But but in all seriousness, man, it's a phenomenal moment to share with people, not because the moment itself matters or what was done matters. It's done. It's in the past. It's over. What's special is it's almost like living proof that you are capable of what you believe you are capable of, right? So if I believe I was born to be great and I believe you were born to be great, it takes so much work and sacrifice to finally get to a point where you see that actualized. So those moments are special because it's a moment where it's actualized, right? That seed of greatness that is planted in you, that you've worked so hard to bring to fruition, to grow, it's finally there. And not only is it there, you get to show it to the people who truly believe in you, who also knew that seed was within you. And so that's what made it special. But it was a gift, man. It was a gift. The glory goes to Christ, man. That's honestly,
Amen,
I 100% have to be transparent about that. I mean, that's number one. But yeah, man, we put in the work and it's been a long time coming. So
did you ever lose that belief in yourself? Like after last Worlds, when things really didn't go your way, did you ever think like, man, maybe I'm just not cut out for this?
It's not necessarily that you would lose hope or that that your belief in yourself dissipates. The degrees of self-doubt will increase. Excuse me. The degrees of self-doubt will increase. So what that means is, if you're faced with adversity, what does it mean to overcome the adversity, right? Because I survived, right? So I'm still breathing, I'm still living. Is that overcoming adversity?
Right.
Did you get hit with adversity and then not only did you survive, but you thrived in it, you outperformed, you won despite all of that? Is that overcoming adversity? So there's all these different kind of variables that you're considering when it comes to analyzing your performances, your work. But then there's also the internal, just straight up spiritual stuff, the stuff that has nothing to do with your performance, has nothing to do with the obstacles, competing, platforms, judges, referees, nothing. It's about what is my ability, right? And so for me, it's not so much that I felt like I was never going to be able to do what I've done or what I'm trying to do even still. It was more so like, man, why am I still not enough? It's like, it's not so much because, and that's where the anxiety or the depression or the pain will exist. Imagine this, and this sounds really terrible, but let's say you're,
I was waiting. So I'm not shocked by anything.
No, I'm gonna go with a very smooth, easygoing analogy.
Imagine your mom's dying. And
No. Imagine you were a rock, right? Okay. You can't think, touch, feel. So far as we know, rocks can't do any of that, right? So if I throw a rock against the wall, pretty brutal thing to do, but does it feel it? No, it doesn't know anything because it's a fucking rock, right? But we're not a rock. There's more to us. So when you were meant to be more, and you are not where you believe you are meant to be, that's where the dissonance is created.
Yeah.
But if you never knew that you were meant to be more, you would never think anything of it. It would never mean anything to you. Right? So it's almost like if you were born and you never knew your parent, right? Let's say they dropped you off somewhere and they're gone, right? And they die at some point, but you never knew them. You didn't even know that they died. It couldn't possibly affect you because you had no idea. It's the moment that you become aware of that information that it starts to hit you. So imagine your whole life being aware of your potential, where you should be. You feel it in your bones. I mean, it's something that's innate, right? Something that's been planted in you. You feel that. But yet reality is playing a scene to you that's not what's in here. It's not what's in here. It doesn't match. That's where the dissonance comes in.
I guess that's like the dichotomy of having big dreams and aspiring to be, like you said, something other than you are right now. So you have big goals and dreams. That causes and creates a ton of depression and anxiety when you don't reach those goals. Whereas if you had zero expectations, you are the rock. The rock is the rock. So if you were just Gavin and you were where you're at right now, you wouldn't be as upset as you were when things didn't go your way, and you keep striving for more. And then I'm so curious, like when you do reach that pinnacle and like you are who you thought or knew you were going to be, do you think you're ever going to feel the way you're hoping you're going to feel?
So one of the benefits for my journey being as arduous as it has been is you get to go through a lot. So because I get to go through a lot, I have the opportunity to encounter moments of wins, right? And then I also encounter a lot of fails. And so you learn, at first it's tough. It drags you everywhere. But eventually you mature and you grow in your strength, your core strength, and your identity, right? And who you are. What does it mean to be who you are? And when you grow in that, over time, it doesn't matter if the highs are high or the lows are low. You're still in the center. You're still at baseline.
Yeah.
You're still chill. You're still calm, cool, collected. It's great. Like, this is awesome. I'm glad that we accomplished this. Tomorrow's still day one. Or, you know what? Yeah, it does suck.
Right, the opposite.
Things didn't go my way. You know what? They went actually as bad as they could have, but tomorrow's day one anyway. You know, it's all, the outcome does not mean anything. It becomes about the process and who you have to become in pursuit of the outcome. That's the special part. But that takes growth. That takes maturity. And the only way you can get there is by taking punches, which you know. Right. I mean, in your line of work, the only way you get better in fighting is to what? At some point, you have to hit the mat and fight. Right? And so sometimes it does take heavy L's. Sometimes it takes a lot of adversity for you to learn a really big lesson. Yeah. Sometimes all it takes is watching somebody else make the mistake, but that's the difference. And so I think as long as you have this mindset of, okay, well, the outcome is irrelevant because a lot of the outcome is not even within my control. But what is within my control is my response to, my adaptation, my ability to adapt, right? Yeah. So if you're in control of that, and your mindset is always, I know I can get there. I know I will become, because what's the alternative? Give up or die. I'm not going to give up. And if I die, it's outside my control. So who gives a shit? Why worry about that? Yeah. So I'm just going to keep going. After you go through that over and over and over again, you take enough punches on the chin. It's like, all right, it's just another day at work. You know what I mean? It's just, we just keep going no matter what, you know?
Do you read?
A little bit, yeah.
You're very well read.
Am I?
I would assume.
I don't think I'm well read enough.
Is extremely diverse.
No,
I feel stupid talking to you.
The trick is to learn just a few big words and then just use them.
Well, you said
a
about
lot.
15, so you did it. You're like, check every one of these boxes. All right, well, those are all the words I know. You used egregious. That was a good one. You used, what was the other word with an A? You said. Someone today. What did he say? He had me going crazy. I was like, well, that was good. Side note, you're a very deep person. I find myself to not be that deep, but I have the ability to do so. Do you like talking to other deep people, or are you guys just both like, whoa, we're way too low now?
No, I definitely do enjoy it. It depends on why we're talking. If I'm talking to, I think every single person has the capacity to be deep, because your thoughts are your thoughts, period. And unfortunately, if you're a human, you can't just escape that. That's very real. And there's a reason why when you listen to a song, you feel something, no matter who you are. Again, back to the rock analogy. If it's a rock, it's different. It's not capable of feeling those things, but you are, right? So barring any extreme mental or physical incapacities, you're going to feel just as I do. You may have had different experiences, and that may shape how you feel differently. It doesn't change the fact that you are biologically hardwired to respond a certain way to things, right? And so if you have trouble expressing those things, it's different. I know people very close to me who, they may say that they're extroverted. They're not as introspective. That doesn't mean they're not deep thinkers. It doesn't mean they don't feel things deeply. They just have a different way of expressing it, different way of coping maybe, right? So I think that you actually are a very deep, very, very deep thinker. And I think that you use that as like an excuse. You say what you said before about you not being a deep thinker as like your excuse to not explore that more often. Yeah. But the fact that we're already having this conversation, you think somebody who's shallow, doesn't think about these things, doesn't care, you think we would have been having this conversation? No.
Well, not to derail the conversation, but I guess I asked that question because I'm more so like confused and upset that it's hard for me sometimes to feel these emotions that it seems very easy for you to feel. You seem like an empathetic person, and sometimes I'm talking to other people and I'm like, Man, I wish I cared more about what you're saying right now, and I just don't.
No, I definitely feel.
You know what I mean? Like
I definitely am a more empathetic person, and it definitely comes with some major drawbacks.
Yeah.
But all that to say, then there's other things that I'm not as good at. Like I'm not as good when it comes to leadership roles. I'm not as good at having hard conversations. I'm not as good at directing and telling people what to do and setting boundaries. Those are things I'm really bad at because of that. You know, so all those things that you think might be a weakness in some settings are actually like really big strengths. But that's the key. It's like, okay, what's the ultimate version of me? What does that look like? How do I get there?
Yeah.
You know, so that's the process. And we all have our own process. The key is to aim for that. If you are somebody who refuses to aim for that, then unfortunately I can't associate with you. I'm not interested. But if at least you are aiming for that, even if you're failing, that's cool. We're all failing.
Yeah.
But at least I know that you're aiming for that.
Aiming for what? To understand yourself
Higher, something greater, right? It's where you are right now is not enough. You have everything you need to be great is already within you. That's the beautiful part. That's been given to us, right? But it takes work. It takes time. It takes a grind. It takes a trying soul to want to achieve that, right? And people like, it doesn't have to be that deep. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I just want to be able to live for the weekends and enjoy myself. That's cool. That's totally fine. But what about your relationship? Do you want to get a divorce when you get married? Do you not want to get married at all? Like, what do you want? A healthy marriage? What do you want? If you choose to have children, you're going to be a good parent? What does that mean? You think you can be a good parent when you haven't fixed all your shit? Right? Because truthfully, it's not just about you now. If you want to be fucked up, good for you. But now you've got a child that's going to get fucked up because of your problems.
Yeah. Even more fucked up.
Right. So you see what I'm saying? And this is why it's so important to aim higher. It's not about owning the world and making tons of money. For some people that works. Other people, they just want to be a jujitsu fucking champion. You know what I mean? That's an anime, Jujutsu Kaisen. So
Yeah, I know.
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, sorry. I'm thinking about Naruto. You
get what I'm saying.
I do, and I think again that's like different people are just wired differently, and I wonder maybe my actions are probably differently. Like I would assume you probably sit alone with your thoughts a lot.
Yeah.
I'd never. And I'm not saying that's a good, like that's not a flex. That's like I wonder what I would be like if I did. I wonder what I would learn just about myself from being with myself.
Maybe, but also too, maybe you just need soundboards. You know, I mean, I benefit greatly from having certain people in my life who A, hold me accountable, but B, mentor me. You know, I've got people in my life who are way more successful than I am, who are leading me. You know, at the end of the day, nobody's gonna do the work for you. You have to want to do the work. You have to aim higher. You know, you have to have something that you're building towards. And the truth of the matter is, anybody who says, that's just not me, is bullshit. Again, this is not hard. We're all animals, right? And we all are sharing certain things that are unique to humans, right? So no different than breathing, right? I mean, there's not a human on earth who does not need oxygen to survive or water to survive. It's just like that. We were all born with something in us that's calling for something greater. That's why things like depression exist and the anxiety exists, because there's a dissonance, and that's created by something. So ultimately, I think if you can aim higher, at some point you will find yourself thinking like, okay, so you have a jiu-jitsu tournament coming up, right? So when you're sitting and before you go to bed and you're trying to fall asleep, some nights you'll knock out. Other nights, especially if you're getting closer to competition, maybe you're thinking about the competition. You're thinking about your practice. You're thinking about your training, your drills, right? Yeah. Is that not you sitting alone with your thoughts? And then all of a sudden it's like, fuck, man, like I just can't. I had to tap like 30 times today in practice, just wasn't in it. I don't understand what's going on. I'm getting nervous. I don't know. That's you talking to yourself. Sure. You know? And so that's the premise of everything. It doesn't need to be this like sitting down, okay, I'm going to dedicate the next 2 hours. Who am I? What do I do? What are my habits? What can I change? It doesn't need to be like that, you know? And even you just having these types of conversations is an introspective process. Yeah. You know, because you have to think about what you're going to talk about with me. I'm asking you questions. This is a conversation. I'm not talking to a wall, you know? No. So, I mean, you are a little bit more than a wall.
Like, all right, you're a step above the wall. Yeah. No, but listen, that's why I love talking to you, because I do learn a lot about myself, and I'm able to apply that in other conversations. Like, I think you said to me one time, I was talking about girl talk, dude. You know, just casual bros talking about girls. And normally when I talk about girls, like my friends, it's like a very high level conversation, 5 minutes and move on. And you said something to me like, if you want this girl to portray you in some type of way, you can't wait to get her to then become that man. You have to be that man now.
Yeah,
you have to look at what you're doing and the way you're acting.
Become the guy that's deserving of the woman that you want.
Right. And that was like a mind-blowing moment for me that I changed, not really. But I reflected on that. I was like, all right, he's right. Like now I can't blame anything else but myself. If I'm going to act a certain way and be a certain way, the universe is going to reward me, properly. And that's what's been going on.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, it's also whether you end up getting the girl or not, was that not a better outcome than staying who you were,
Yeah,
So
definitely.
it's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win. There is nobody who loses in that situation.
Definitely not.
It is the harder thing to do. And there's this like concept that I've really fallen in love with, which is this idea of bearing the cross. Now, naturally, as somebody who's Christian, I don't want to push that on anybody. It's just in light of being authentic, I kind of have to talk about it. Yes, there is a piece of that is very heavily Christian influence. In fact, that's the foundation of it. But pushing that aside for a second, the idea of bearing the cross is suffering, essentially, is taking on your responsibility. What do you have to take on? What do you have to carry so that you can become who you were intended to be? And again, some people will choose to avoid that, but I hate to say it. You're running from something.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. And we all know it. I feel it in myself. What are you running from? And when nobody else is around, there's no drinks, there's no women, there's no nothing, there's no music. You are alone with that. And so that's that calling. It's like you can escape it for as long as you want, but that's like the Jonah and the whale story from the Bible, where basically God calls Jonah to do something. Jonah's like, yeah, fuck that. Tries to run away. Long story short, is on this shipwrecks, I think, and a big ass whale monster swallows him up and spits him out right where he's supposed to be. If he had just listened and went where he was supposed to be, he wouldn't have had to go through the storm, get through the shipwreck, live in the whale for 3 days, But that's us. Is that not us? So when you run from your problems or the things that you should tackle head on, just gets worse, right? And you end up having to deal with it anyway at some point. Yeah. So that's all that is, and it's something we all have to face. But, the more aware you are of it, then the easier it gets to start to do it.
Well, that's it. I've always found it so intriguing by like, if you look at people that are super devoted to a religion, right? Christianity or whatever it is, it's normally somebody that has been through something extremely traumatic and they had nowhere else to turn but God. And God finally got them out perceivably of wherever they were. And now they devote their lives to God. But why not just have it in reverse? Like, something's going to happen in your life that's traumatic, right? Whatever that trauma is, may not be as bad as yours, but it's not comparable. You might get ahead of the curve and be like, all right, I'm going to surrender now and struggle now so I don't have to wait for something terrible to happen and then go through something that could be made to be a bigger problem because I wasn't prepared for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of, facing things head on and the idea of suffering, there's really nothing in your life that's going to come to you without that aspect. That's kind of like the irony of it all. Like what does it mean to be great? So like, let's say to win this tournament that you have coming up, how does that happen? Is there some special magic pill that you take? Is there something that comes down from the heavens and you're blessed with? Is something that comes from the earth? Nothing, right? What is it? It's the culmination of all these super mundane, almost average things that you do over and over and over and over again, but you do it to the best of your ability. You do it with excellence. And you stack that over and over, years upon years upon years. That's what creates greatness. So ironically, greatness is created in the obscurity and the stuff that's not great. Right. But that's all of life. Like, that's what it is, so religious, not religious, it doesn't matter. Like, the path is the same. You have to bear your cross. You get to choose usually what your cross is, but sometimes you don't. Sometimes things happen in life and you don't get to choose. Right. And that's really that's real strength. Strength has nothing to do with the gym. It has to do with your character, and your character will be tested in those times. So that's why you need to aim higher, because there will come a time when you have a family or people you care about, people you love, it gets real, and it gets real fast. So will you have the strength to shoulder through that? And in my opinion, this actually does come from an anime, but in my opinion, there's no shame in being weak. The shame is in staying weak, right? So it goes back to what I was saying before.
Which anime is that from?
That's Black Clover.
Big anime guy. It's well, you're strong inside and outside the gym.
Oh, thank you.
It's what do they say? Like you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with. Mm-hmm. I think as a man, I'm 28, so I can only speak about people that are younger than me or my age. It's so important to have so many different friends, because then, like, different as far as everybody is a different personality. If you have 5 of the same exact people, you're having the same exact conversation every single day with every single one of them. Whereas you're so different, than most people that I hang out with. As far as like this, like I would never have this deep of a conversation transparently because I don't think I know too many other people that have the ability to do so properly. Like I guess me and my friend could try to act deep and we'll say some things like the universe and blah 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 and whatever, but you're able to put into words what everybody else is thinking. And I have so many like whoa moments with you that I'm like, I gotta keep this guy around more.
No, I appreciate it, man. I think I don't think I'm like special or smart or anything like that or more deep than anybody else. I think I mean what I say and I say what I mean. So, you know, instead of me trying to sound deep for the sake of sounding deep to you, I'm just saying it how it fucking is. Right? Yeah. So, and that's what I appreciate. There are people I know who dude, like, and this sounds fucked up, but I know people who are not well educated, maybe high school GED at best. And I'll have conversations. I'm like, holy shit. Like I can tell he's struggling to articulate it.
Yeah.
But what he is saying has got to be some of the most sophisticated philosophical stuff I've ever heard in my life. I've had conversations like that with people and you would never expect it. And so it's not about like the mouth, the words, it's all just a vehicle. It's from here. That's what you're feeling. That's what you're hearing. So if you have conversations with your boys, I mean, have a conversation with Corey about cooking, right? I mean, he's really good at it. I'm just assuming this is something he really does enjoy.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
If you have a conversation with him about it, even if you don't have like a deep conversation about the mindset going into, but you talk to him about that, feel the hear it from him. It's a different, because he doesn't need to fake it. He's not doing it for the sake of it. He's like, oh no, this I know. Like this is what, you know, and he's going to keep it real. And so because of that, that's what's being communicated to you.
Right. I wouldn't have to know that you're passionate about lifting to have, I don't need this conversation to realize that. I could just watch you lift and talk to you for 5 minutes after a lift and be like, oh, this dude's, you know, he's got one thing on his mind as being the best. And that's where I can transition into where are we headed? So we have a 1980 pound total. Talk us through the 3 lifts you had to do and each individual lift and what your goals are after this, man.
Yeah. So, in short, for the people who don't know, in powerlifting, the way that it works is it's squat, bench, and deadlift. You get 3 attempts for each. Excuse me. And at each competition, you'll have referees. At my level of competitions, you'll also have jury members. So it's this big official thing. And I competed at an internationally sanctioned IPF competition in Arizona. Usually it's held in like Guatemala or, you know, different Caribbean areas and stuff like that. But this year was in Arizona. And so I went there, competed, and I had the ability to set world records there, which is great. So there, I rebroke the squat world record. We set it at 751 or 752 pounds, which is great. Jesus. And then we also broke the total world record. And I'm the first lifter in IPF history to set the world record above 900 kilos. So nobody's ever touched the 900 kilo barrier. It was like that was a big moment.
Wait, regardless of weight class?
No. So in my weight class.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we broke the 900 kilo barrier. We hit the 901. We definitely had more in the tank. Like I said, there's a lot to talk about within that meet alone that I won't go over now and bore you with. But it was a special meet. It was a special moment, and I do believe it was a gift. Honestly, man, I really do. I would not have been able to do it without the people, without my faith, and without Christ. So that's 100%. So from there,
wait, hold on, please bore me. What? Give me some details, bro. I wasn't there.
Well, so the squat, for example, I'll give you like an example.
Yeah. I like how you say we, by the way. You know you're the only person lifting.
Yes.
You talk in third person is hilarious.
I talk in third person a lot because I feel so uncomfortable.
Gavin did a great job at his meet here. Okay, well, Gavin, why don't you tell us what the fuck happened?
No, I feel uncomfortable saying it because it's not just me. You know, it's no matter what the situation is.
Shut up.
But yeah. Well, so like historically, I would hit a squat in powerlifting. Again, the way that it works is in order to have a good lift, there's 3 lights total. So 3 referees. You need at least 2 of those referees to give you a good lift, right? For you to get the good lift. If you get all 3 white lights, so all 3 referees say good lift, the jury, if there is one, can't overturn it. If all 3 are red, meaning bad lift, jury can't overturn. But if it's anywhere in between, the jury can overturn. Historically, I'd kind of get a little screwed where the referees would give it to me, so I'd get a good lift, but it would be 2-to-1. So 2 white lights, 1 red. The jury would overturn, not in my favor. They'd take it away from me. That would happen at the biggest meets, squat world records, they would take it away. This time, ironically, didn't get it from the referees on the second attempt, right? I was feeling really shitty. Long story short, my recomp, like the water cut was great. We finally nailed that part, but the recomp was off and I was just, my gut was all messed up and it was whatever. I could barely like feel like myself until deadlifts, let alone for the squat. So it was hard, man. It was definitely a dogfight. I took the world record. I mean, it was like what, maybe 3 or 4 kilos above the world record, I think.
Talking pounds, please.
Okay, so it was. So I had originally set the world record at like 743 pounds. Then somebody broke it at Worlds and did 744, right? And then I took it back and I did 751. So I hit the 751 on the second attempt. It got 2 reds from the referees, so it didn't count.
Right.
Then going to the third attempt, we had to retake it essentially. So it was a total grind. I went as deep as I could, and the referees didn't give it to me. 2 reds. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I mean, I've been here before. It sucks. It's exactly what we were talking about before. It's like, man, it's just never enough, but it's all good. I know things will come together. It's fine. We keep going. And 5 minutes later, I get the news that the jury overturned it in my favor.
Wow.
Yeah. So crazy, man. So things like that, a lot of moments like that, I feel like happened during the meet. Yeah, so I'm just very grateful for the performance altogether. You know, in most situations, everything would not go my way. In this situation, things went my way.
Finally, God gave you a little bit of a token.
That's right.
All right. Well, the weight cut. Where were you prior to, like, let's say a couple days of weigh-ins, and then how much did you have to cut?
Yeah. So because I had spent several months doing just a normal body weight cut using the Carbon Diet app.
We can talk about that, don't worry.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. But I have to mention it because that's exactly what I use. And it's not like, and at the time I wasn't partnered with the company at all, had no affiliation with them, no incentive whatsoever. And in fact, I was working with arguably one of the best nutrition coaches in the powerlifting game. And I chose to stop that relationship and just use this app. And so finally I was able to cut my weight. I lost about like, I don't know, maybe 7 to 10 pounds in about 3 or 4 months. And very steady progress. It wasn't like I dropped a ton of weight super fast, so I was able to retain my muscle, retain my strength, all of that. And so I was coming into the meet 209, I would say. 209 pounds. I have to be 205 or 204.7 or something like that. Yeah. So the rest of it was just a water cut. And so the guy who I work with for nutrition, Lane Norton, who's phenomenally educated, very well-known guy, has been on some great podcasts, offers tons of value to millions of people around the world. He was generous enough with his time to really help me throughout the process, and most especially with the weight cut itself. Nailed it to a T. I have never had a weight cut go as smooth as it did. Yeah, dude, it was nuts. I mean, I've tried so many different water manipulation, sodium manipulation. I've done all of it. Yeah. This was the easiest it has ever friggin' been, ever.
What did you do this time differently?
Oh, you want me to give the secrets?
I do.
You're on he sent me a spreadsheet. He sent me a spreadsheet that had some, long story short, we just manipulated water and sodium. So your electrolytes, water, carbs, and fiber. So we manipulated all of those things. And essentially, dude, I was at weight like the day before the meet. And the only thing I think I messed up was the recomp. And I basically just had, I think, too much sodium because there needs to be like a proper ratio between the sodium and the amount of water. And prior to weigh-ins, I had like 1,200 milligrams of sodium and only like 6 ounces of water. And I think that just kicked it off. That just ruined me. But if it weren't for that, dude, we would have been good.
What do you mean by ruined you?
So my gut was so messed up, dude. I was using the bathroom like every 5 seconds, and it was just terrible.
You shit yourself.
Oh my God, a gazillion times. And it sucked, man, because like I just couldn't feel like myself. I didn't feel.
That is the worst feeling ever.
It was terrible, especially when you have to be the strongest you've ever been in your life, you know?
Yeah. I hate like just going through life, and now you have to squat 700 pounds.
Yeah, it was not fun, but I mean, we did it, man. It's tough. I've been through some pretty brutal water cuts before. I also think too that because this process was basically this slower dehydration process going into the meet. So in other words, like more than 24 hours, it was probably about like 2 or 3 days of slowly getting dehydrated. That in conjunction with me fucking up the recomp a little bit had me worse off than like in the past when I would sweat out 10 pounds of water the morning of, and it was brutal. But because I was dehydrated for only a matter of, let's say, 5 to 6 hours, it wasn't as bad, and my body could recomp right away, you know, as opposed to letting my body adjust to this dehydrated state, and now I'm depleted for longer.
Yeah, I got you. You're not gonna give away your secrets, but explain what a water cut is.
Yeah, so there's different ways to do it. I want to be clear, I'm not a nutrition coach by any means, and I would definitely look into Lane's content for sure if you need help with it. But in powerlifting, the weight cuts, they take different forms. A lot of people prefer to just do a body weight cut, which I did do quite a bit going into the meet. So get yourself within range, right, of your weight class. Next step is usually a gut cut. So the gut cut is just manipulating the food volume in your stomach. So instead of having, let's say, like steaks and rice and stuff that's really going to sit in your stomach and weigh a lot, you basically just switch to almost all fluids, and you get your calories from stuff that's like low sodium and obviously, again, calorically dense, but very like light, so like Pop-Tarts, things like that, ice cream, stuff like that. I know, God, you just have to have ice cream.
What?
Yeah. So that's an option as well.
That doesn't fuck up your...
It can. That's the thing. Like, you don't think of it, but it can, absolutely. If you are not used to eating, like, I don't eat ice cream, I don't eat like that, so like no, don't even try. These people will believe you. That's the problem.
Okay, buddy, continue, please.
No, but it definitely can mess up your gut for sure. But then the other alternative is the water cut.
Right.
So usually people do a combination of all of these things, especially if you're at the top level, right? So, which is what I did. I mean, basically did a combination of all of these things. The gut cut, I don't really rely on too much anymore because, again, if I'm eating clean anyway, like, it's not really that big of a deal. The only thing you might want to manipulate is fiber as it relates to your gut, because obviously, like, you know, that might change how much you go to the bathroom and how much water you hold on to and stuff like that. But yeah, the water cut itself is, you kind of have two options with the water cut. Sauna, so just sweat, or you can do hot bath is also like a really popular option, or you can manipulate your water, carb, and sodium intake. So sometimes people do both. Usually you'll choose one method over the other. Most coaches will recommend you don't do the sauna stuff because they're afraid of how much that might affect you.
Sure.
Personally, I think the sauna is actually the best option over the others.
When you say manipulate water and sodium and carbs, are you loading this like a week prior and accepting you may gain a little bit of weight and then dropping it down? Or?
You'll definitely gain a little bit of weight. You are loading. You're definitely water loading. Sodium, yes. I think I increased my sodium intake, my average sodium intake, by about 2 grams maybe. So I was having about 2 extra grams of sodium per day than I normally would. But I was also drinking not that much water, but, you know, a little bit more water. Let's say if I normally drink a gallon, I was having a gallon and a half or maybe 2 gallons, maybe that.
And what's the purpose of this?
So essentially what you're doing is you're loading your body up with tons of water, and the idea of the increased sodium is to retain that water.
Sure.
You'll probably maybe even up your carbs slightly, although that kind of depends on how much you actually weigh and how far you are from your class. But the idea is essentially to get your body to retain as much water as possible and fill it up with as much water as possible. That way, as you pull sodium, because your body's going to want to excrete, so you're forcing your body to hold on to it. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take away a lot of the sodium over time, right? So now your body can't hold on to that, but you're still getting in all that water. So now it's going to start to get rid of it. And so you're getting your body to pee more than usual, so that once you don't have any sodium, it has nothing, and even your carbs, you kind of lower your carbs a lot. Once it has nothing to hold on to the water, now it's just going to keep getting rid of it. So it'll actually get you lower than baseline in terms of your hydration.
So because obviously I'm not loading anything right now, but if I hypothetically removed carbs and sodium out of my diet today, would I notice?
Yes.
100%.
Like
it's almost like a diuretic effect.
You'll lose quite. That's a common misconception with people who start diets, right? Because as soon as they start diets, they lose a lot of weight really, really fast, and they get super excited, but then the weight loss stops. It's because all they lost really was water, because usually most diets, what do? They cut carbs, right? That's really actually probably the primary thing. You cut carbs, maybe you're drinking a little bit more water, but carbs hold on to a lot of water, right? So between that, and yeah, if you were to drop your sodium, most people aren't getting enough electrolytes in anyway. Yeah, you're 100%, you'll notice a big decline in weight.
That's so interesting, because I think sodium is like this like needle that if it goes one way or the other, it could be slight differences, and it can be a drastic difference in how you feel that day. Like, you could have a sodium dump in one way or the other. I notice it instantly if I have too much. If I eat a meal, real salty steak or whatever it may be, I gotta run to the bathroom within 10 minutes, and it's terrible. Yeah. But the opposite, I've never really thought about. There are plenty of days where I'm dehydrated and I don't have enough sodium in my body, and I also feel the effects of like this diuretic of I'm just peeing or shitting or whatever, and it's just not a good.
Well, you also have to keep in mind it's not just that you had a really salty steak, it's that you had it with wine instead of water. Or you had, you know what I mean? You weren't hydrating yourself as well. If you were hydrating yourself a ton, maybe you were, but if you weren't hydrating yourself a ton, or at least enough, that ratio is off, that's when you're going to get all messed up.
Yeah, I'm just like personal anecdotes. Like I remember when I was wrestling and like you would do things in high school and college and not really think twice about it because you're young. But I would always notice, so I have Crohn's. My stomach, and I hate even saying that because I'm so manageable compared to like actual people that have problems with it.
It's true.
But it is what it is. Sorry, Joe, for re-rolling. I just like to dismiss. No. He hates when I dismiss things. But anyway, so I have that thing, and I've noticed that my stomach is a little more sensitive than other people. So like weight cutting fucks me up. Like I'm in the bathroom way too much. I feel terrible. I'll lose weight real quick, obviously, but I wonder if it's because I'm just like stripping salt out way too quickly, and my body's not used to it. And then I find like this happy medium because again, if I go too salty, I have the same effects. And I think
I'd have
different.
to look at the literature because this is a conversation I've had with Lane. Like when we got on a call after the meet to try and just discuss like, all right, what went wrong, what went right. I have a system for all of this stuff. That was part of the conversation. It was like, yeah, dude, I don't know what the fuck it was, and we both definitely think that it had something to do with the ratio of electrolytes to water. Yeah, there is a science for it, but I'm telling you, because everything for the recomp after weigh-ins was pretty normal for me. It was just that one solution I took prior to weigh-ins. I think it was 600 or 1200 milligrams. I know it's a big difference, but it was one of the two. But I remember it being only in about 6 ounces of water. And I remember like how salty it was and shit. I just remember thinking like, oh, fuck. And I think that that's what kicked it off. I don't think it was the bulk of my recomp protocol. I think it was just that, but I don't know.
Well, like you said, like everybody, you go on a diet and you lose all this weight and you feel great about yourself. It's sort of the same thing that everybody goes through or watches stuff online, and now they automatically have to go do that. So, you said before people are probably deficient in electrolytes. I'll actually argue, I think the opposite side of that. People in America normally are very stagnant. They don't move, right? But they'll take liquid IVs 2-3 times a day and flood their body with these electrolytes they don't really need, that they're not really sweating. So you have these people that used to not drink any water. Now they drink water, which is great, but they're salting it up and all these different things. And they're feeling these same effects that you felt, like this sodium dump, and they don't really know why. And I think people have to stop taking supplements without really the knowledge of why you're taking these specific things.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, most of my context is a trained population.
Right.
It's hard to like escape from that.
You
just think
lift.
that everybody works out.
You don't work out.
But yeah, it is tough, and there is a balance. Like I said, the more important thing is that you are consuming enough fluid with the electrolytes, right?
Okay.
So that's the most important thing. Also the concentration, because that determines the concentration of it, right? So it's like, I have these trioral packets that I used to use for my recomps.
What are
those? Have 2 grams of sodium per packet, which is a lot. Whereas like your typical liquid IV may have, what is it, like 800 or 1200 milligrams or something like that of sodium, something like that.
Can you check that, Joe? How much sodium does Liquid IV have?
I feel like that's a pretty popular brand that people use, Liquid IV or Element.
Yeah.
They probably have 600 to 1200 milligrams each. I know a Pedialyte Sport packet has about 800, I think. 500. Okay, so drastically less, right? That's a quarter of the amount. So now I'm having 2 grams. That's a lot, right? So you need a lot of fluids to dilute that. Right. Whereas if you're having, let's say you have 3 Liquid IV packets a day, it's still only 1500 milligrams of sodium. Yeah, it's true. Depending on what foods you eat, are they salted? Are they processed, ultra processed? Yes, 100%. That's gonna make a difference. But absolutely, if you're taking in enough water, it should balance itself out. Like I said, I'm not an expert on that stuff per se, but 100% is something that's worth thinking about. You definitely need electrolytes though to perform cognitive and physical function.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. Like on the other side of the coin, do you think people are unnecessarily avoiding salt? And because it's like almost like a what do they call it, like a clickbaity term to be like stay away from sodium.
Yeah, I definitely do. I definitely do think that there's some truth to that. Again, it's tough because it depends on the population. Who are we talking about? Are they active? Are they healthy outside of that? Like a lot of people, for example, for the longest time, and again, I'm not a nutritionist. I don't know all the literature on this, but I have high cholesterol genetically. So I have high LDLs, which is bad. I go to the doctor and they're telling me like, hey, you need to have less eggs. You need to eat less red meat, all this other stuff. But it's like, you guys have it all fucking backwards. Like, it's just, I promise you, it's not the eggs and it's not the lean red meat that I'm eating. Right. And So though it's true, if I have genetically high cholesterol, maybe I need to take medication to lower that. But for sure, 100%, the micronutrients that are in an egg yolk, the micronutrients that are in red meat, that's all extraordinarily beneficial. The other thing is a lot of the studies that you would look at that show the links between, let's say, red meat consumption and high cholesterol are these healthy individuals. Where are they eating this steak, right? When I cook a steak, I don't douse it in butter, oil, and garlic and salt and all. No, I throw it on the fucking grill, and it's actually tasty that way. You go to a steakhouse, bro, they kill it with butter and oil and salt and all these other things. That's not the same steak.
Yeah.
And what are your lifestyle habits outside of that? So if you eat a lot of red meat, you have high cholesterol. Do you smoke? Right? Do you drink a lot of wine? Right? Do you work out? Do you exercise? You see what I mean? So it's very hard, especially for a hyper-controlled study, to account for a lot of these things. Again, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a researcher. I'm not going to pretend like that's my position. But it's very difficult for me to overgeneralize when it comes to some of these things, whether it be salt consumption or red meat or anything like that. Because again, it's like, okay, well, hold on a second. First of all, the dosage is the poison, number one. Number two, what is this person's lifestyle outside of this, right? So if you said, yeah, I just don't want to have too much salt because it's like super unhealthy for you, but at the same time, like your lifestyle is completely sedentary, you work a desk job, you don't work out at all, don't move your body, and then at night you go to happy hour. It's like, are you sure it's the salt? You know what I mean? Like that's...
Or the steak you had. That's... Stan Efferding, maybe you know this study because I heard him talk about it, so please elaborate if you have. He mentioned how people that have genetically high cholesterol like yourself, the amount of cholesterol you're eating through things like eggs and red meat is so negligible that even if you stayed the same weight and kept the same lifestyle, if you removed those things, it's going to have a net zero effect on your actual overall count. But what would affect it is if you went and lost weight. Like he says,
right,
that is the biggest driver of cholesterol up and down is weight gain or loss. And it's not necessarily the foods that are high in cholesterol are still so low compared to the amount of cholesterol you have filtrating through your body. You'd have to be eating, he said, like an insane amount, an amount that's not feasible.
Well, your cardiovascular health, because you have to think about like what is the circuit, like what is the actual disease of it, right? It's like the whole reason why you don't want to have high cholesterol, especially bad cholesterol, is you don't want to build a plaque, and the plaque will stop your heart's ability to get blood to everywhere it's got to go, right? So if you improve your heart's ability to do that, usually through like cardiovascular training, well then that strengthens your heart,
right? And
that makes it so that even if there is some plaque there, it can still push, right? So it's like that. So 100%. But again, it's tough, man, because there's so many other variables. Like I smoke cigars. Right? When you smoke a cigar, you don't inhale, but it's impossible to not really, inhale some of it, right? I would argue that would probably be have a bigger effect on my cholesterol, or my health, than eating lean red meat, you know what I mean, from the butcher.
Yeah.
And so that's the thing that people don't really look at. Like I have plenty of friends who are so concerned about their diet. They don't know if they should go paleo, vegan, and they switch every 5 seconds, but they vape a fuck ton. So it's like, are you a vapor? Oh,
disgusting.
That's okay.
He did
That's
it.
all right.
He did
Just
it on
close
the
your
podcast
ears.
one time, bro. I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
I was a guest though.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's true. That's true. It's part of the character.
He's like, "Yes, anyway."
He's doing O's.
I was like, "What are you doing here?"
It wasn't even that crazy, bro.
So get out of here.
But you get what I'm saying. It's you
Yeah.
have to look at holistically. What is the whole? It's the same thing like anything else in my life, bro. It's like, okay, I want to be a champion at what I do. What does that mean? Okay, well, what are the outputs I'm getting? I'm not being as successful as I want to. Let's say it's business related as well. Okay, cool. Was that magic? No, it's my inputs, right? I need to change my inputs if I want to change the outputs.
Yeah.
The inputs are what I'm in control of. I truly believe the best way to predict the future is to create it. Absolutely. However, what does that mean? That means we have to look at what creates the future. Mm-hmm. And it's not this like magic system or opportunity that just comes to it. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
It is quite literally, what am I doing every day? Like literally, what am I doing? How long am I scrolling? What am I focusing on? What am I working on, right? What are my habits? Because that's what's going to create that, right? Somebody who never brushes their teeth every day versus somebody who brushes them 3 times a day, they're going to have different outcomes, right?
Sure.
It's as simple as that. So just even becoming aware of that is important. Now you start to create changes in it. No different than you in this podcast. At first, it started off in one section of the room and you had one thing and you were like, you know what? Output, we want the output to be a little bit different. So what did you do?
Changed it.
You made changes.
Yeah.
Say, baby.
Do you feel happy or content with your daily habits right now?
No, never.
Okay. So you go to bed and said, man, fuck this one up again. Well, I guess tomorrow's always another chance. Damn it, I did it again. Because I do that shit all the time. Like I think it's a lot about like reflection and you gotta look at things, from black and white. If you're gonna be we had Richie Van Houten on the podcast, and he's a trainer for some pro fighters and amateur fighters. And he's religious, and he talks about like negative thoughts and speech to yourself. And he's like, look, it's going to happen. It's inevitable, right? You have 10,000 thoughts a day. Most of them are going to be negative. Accept and acknowledge that, but then always counter strike that negative thought with a positive thought. So and I do it all the time. I'm in bed, and I said, every morning I say, I'm going to be off my phone less today. I'm going to doom scroll less. And then it's like 11 o'clock, and I'm like, fuck, I did it again.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I didn't get better in that aspect of my day, but let's start now. Okay, I'm going to acknowledge that I'm going to be negative there. What did I do really good today? Yeah. And Chris Williamson talks about, he keeps like a list of like general wins of the day, and I forget what he called it, but it was basically like anything that happens that was a win, write it down as if it's like a to-do list, like a reverse to-do list. And then at the end of the day, go through it. You may have 15 things that you thought were negligible that you would have never appreciated, but now you have this list, you feel good about yourself. And now the next day you have 16 things. And I think high achievers tend to operate off of fear, so they always neglect like, oh man, you know what, I did have a good day. I don't have to, beat myself up for being on the phone.
I mean, I think that's like super surface level. Like it's almost like verbal masturbation in a way. It's like, okay, that's cool. We can make ourselves feel good about this stuff, but like even on the flip side, like I'm not even trying to make myself feel bad about something. It's just quite literally, did we do what we were supposed to do, and are we making changes? Like yes or no, So it's like, I think as humans we are hardwired to respond to demand more than discipline. So, for a lot of people, that's why a lot of people, even if they say they don't like it, they like the workforce. They like I'm going to say fake security. I don't want to offend anyone. You know what I'm trying to say. The fake security of a job. Yeah, right?
For sure. Bro.
So you like that because it's a routine. It's typical. You're told what to do. You do it. You're good at it, and you're needed 100%. I could never do it. I could never hold a job like that. So I'm not knocking it. But you get what I'm trying to say. There's a demand, and you meet the demand, and that's it. Whereas in our line of work, or if there's anything you want to pursue, that there's no rule book. There's nobody who's in your ear telling you have to do something. There's no deadline. There's nothing. It's just you, and you work for yourself, right? Well, now it's about discipline, and we have a hard time as humans responding to discipline and creating discipline because it's of our own volition, right? And so it's kind of like that. It's like you said about your phone. It's very different. It's like you have to decide, like, okay, am I going to be disciplined? Because there's no demand. You're living a great life right now.
Exactly.
You make good money. You have good friends. You're a sociable guy. People like you. You have a podcast, very nice, successful podcast. Wow. You got all this shit going on, So it's like, so what demand is there for you to make that change? So that's why I was saying earlier in this podcast, you have to aim even higher. It's like, okay, this is where I am right now. What's that ultimate? What could the ultimate version of John look like? What would that be? How would he act? What would he do? Let me start doing that.
You bring up a really good point, because I think you could lie to yourself until you can't, right? I could say to myself, I'm good. I got it. I make enough money. I have enough friends. I love the life I live. I don't really care about me scrolling. But what tends to happen literally every single day is that as soon as you stop lying to yourself, that voice creeps up and says, that's not true. Like, you deserve better. You can be better. So what are you going to do to fix it? If you never have that voice and you genuinely can go to bed every night and say, I'm good, then I don't think it's that much of a concern. But unfortunately, I think we were tasked with like this barrier of, we are here, we want to be there. I think there's plenty of people in this world that don't ever have that. And it's like, that's a blessing in itself too, that to be very content. It's funny you mentioned like the job thing. I feel like it's almost like this reverse. People that have jobs like secure 9-to-5s play up how miserable it is. And then people that live and work on their own play up how great it is. It's like this dynamic of everybody that goes to work, oh man, another day, another boring day of work, and I hate my boss and I hate my job. You're good. Like you have that sense of security. You value that sense of security. You're not dreading life. Maybe some people are, but I would argue that the other people that are the entrepreneurial mindset probably struggle and deal with that depressive mindset way more than the other, because now you're bearing everything for yourself. But now you also have to fake it to the world and be like, I'm living this luxurious and beautiful life. I chose to do this. I'm doing what I want to do. Sometimes it's fucking great to have somebody tell you what to do.
Oh, 100%. And especially somebody who can share the responsibility of when things don't get done or when they don't get done well or whatever. But also too, you do have to you have to realize that like we all have both sides. Like we all have all of these different aspects. And so, you know, you could have somebody who works in the corporate world, really enjoys it, genuinely enjoys being good at what they do. They specialize in what they do. They make good money. They can support their family, great money, you know, really successful people. And then maybe they go to the gym on the outside of it, and there's no rule book for that. And they just, they're pursuing that passionately. So the only difference is they just didn't make that their career. Whereas someone like me, I made it my career, you know? So that's, I think we all have those aspects. But again, the focal point is, what more can I do? How do I get better? What's the next level? And again, you don't need to be this super ambitious, driven individual to think like that. It could be as simple as you're a mom. You care about your kids. How do you be the best mom possible?
Right, yeah.
And you're not thinking like, man, I just want to be the best mom possible. You're thinking like, what do my kids need right now? Right? And that's it. And that's how it'll show up. And so it's just your willingness, your innate drive to, okay, what more can I do? Who could I become? You know, what does that look like? And in terms of, you know, whether it's scrolling, whatever the habits are, it's just being aware of that and then coming up with systems that you can implement that make it, because there's a book called Atomic Habits that talked about all this stuff. This is not from me. Yeah. So in that book, that's all he talks about is the systems, right? Because it's all about building the new habits and creating change in your life. And it starts from there. I have found a lot of success in building systems. So like, for example, YouTube, right? Horribly inconsistent on YouTube, right? Terrible. I'm just not an organized individual. So bad. I can't keep a calendar. Terrible. Yeah. Super inconsistent. So what did I do? I finally hired a video. I got my business to a point where I can now hire a videographer. He comes in whether I like it or not. Right. And we're filming and we're shooting. And it's like, okay, if I want this to be good, then I have to put in more effort. I have to be a perfectionist with this. And that's something that you take on. It's a responsibility, but it's worth it. And now all of a sudden we're the most consistent we've ever been. So what did I do? I implemented a system. You know what I mean? And so that I think is and that's one of the huge benefits of surrounding yourself with people who are better than you in some area, because you're learning their systems. Even if they don't even see it that way. It's like, what do you mean? I just like my girlfriend, she just gets up. She doesn't go on her phone, nothing. As soon as she wakes up, she'll wake up at like 4:30 or 5:30 in the morning. She trains before she goes into work and she's up. She's not on her phone. She just gets up, brushes her teeth, gets her shit, dude, and she's out. I'm the opposite. I'm like,
babe, come back to bed.
No, literally though.
What a snuggle. She's like, shut the
Making
fuck
a little
up.
spoon.
I'm not done yet.
Like, you fucking bum. Get up.
You piece of shit. I'm going to the gym.
But that's literally what it's
honey.
like, you know? So that's the thing. It's like when you're around those individuals, that might push you to be, you know, more or less, though, what I will say is there's going to be things that work for you that don't work for others. And there is something to be said about that. However, that doesn't mean you shouldn't be open to change and open to somebody who operates different from you, especially if they're a little bit more productive or whatever, learning from that and adopting some of those techniques, some of those systems. I think the systems go a long way.
Dude, it's like you reach a point where if you're doing something on your own, the question why comes in and you're like, I don't know. All right, I guess I'm going to stop. Like, you don't have somebody pushing you or motivating you. Yeah, those are all great, but somebody literally, I don't even know if I want to do this right now, but I have to because they're coming today. Like, you know what I mean? I scheduled the day around them. I'm not just bailing on myself. I'm bailing on 2, 3, however many other people.
And that's why you said that you had signed up for another tournament.
Right, just to keep myself consistent with like, all right, I want to get good at jiu-jitsu. I know that eventually, right, time on mat is the most important thing out there when it comes to anything, right? Time on mat for jiu-jitsu, time in the gym for weightlifting, whatever. That could I can get my black belt in 30 years. I can get my black belt in 5 years. It doesn't really matter. But if I want to, hyper speed up that process, I'm gonna have to get good quicker, and that requires me being on the mat more often. So same thing. I'm the only person that wants this for me, right? Nobody else really wants it for me.
Yeah.
So if I don't sign up for tournaments, I could train 2-3 times a week. And I think it's less about the frequency of training, but how am I really training when I get there? Right. You know, we talked about intensity today. Is like, I can hop on a mat and when we go live, I know when I'm dogging it and I know when I'm really pushing hard. Yeah. And when that 4th round, 5th round comes in and I can make the excuse that my knee hurts or, oh man, I got to get going, I'm going to go and do that. Whereas like, no, if you have somebody relying on you to do really good, you're going to keep pushing yourself.
It makes it a lot easier.
It almost makes it like possible, right? Because there's infinite amount of things you can be doing, and I think we get distracted as humans pretty easily. So if I want to get really good at jiu-jitsu, like what am I also trying to like pretend to want to be good at? And those things are pulling me away from the things I really want to get good at.
Well, it makes you, it definitely focuses you, but it's the first stepping stone to then creating an ideal version of yourself. And that's who you're competing against. When people say it's you versus you, that's not true. It's bullshit. It's you versus who you could be. That's the truth of it.
That was good.
You like that one?
Yeah, say that again.
So that's it.
Say that into the camera.
It's not you versus you. It is you versus who you could be.
Fuck.
And who you could be is not who you are right now.
Yeah.
And that's why it's not you versus you.
I had a girl, platonic relationship, just a girl.
Of course.
Just a friend. No, seriously. And she was talking about, she's very like driven and motivated and deep. And she had this exercise where there was prompts. I forget what the prompts were. She sent it to me. I didn't do it. And it's you in 10 years. And it's like, what is this person dressed like? What does this person sound like? What does he or she do for a living? Like all these different things that I think are so important for us because, again, in a world of distraction, I could lie to myself and be like, I want to be a really good gymnast. You know, now let's say I devoted 3 years of my life to being a really good gymnast. And then I take a step back and I'm like, why the fuck did I do that? Like, yeah, now I can do a backflip. Great. But did I really want that for myself? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And you could be going down that path for years on end until you finally take a step back and be like, this isn't serving me anymore. I really got to align with who I really can be.
Yeah. And you won't discover that until you start working. But I think for me, especially my advice to people is, you know, and really for myself when I need the reminder is I mean, we're in a reality where we have access to all of this now, so it's so much easier for us than it was for people back then. But I can look at the top celebrities, the top performers, the top anything in any industry and be like, oh, that's so cool. That's so interesting. Do I care enough about that to try that myself?
Yeah.
You know, and then I start to take traits from different people and I put them all together to create this perfect human that I think I could become. And that's what I'm building towards. It's an ideal. And so that's what I'm competing against. It's an ideal. It's this crazy high standard. So now when you show up to class, when you show up to the mat, it's like, okay, maybe none of my boys are here. Maybe nobody here is going to push me, whatever. But there's this ideal that I have. And I know my potential. I know I can get there. Yeah. And I want to. So let me give this everything. What the fuck do I have to lose? Right. My dad used to say, if you're going to go take a test and you're going to apply yourself, let's say you're going to get an 85, right? So, well, if you're going to get an 85, why don't you just shoot for like an 87.5? And like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. So, well, if you're going to shoot for 87.5, dude, you're right there. Just go for the 90. And he's like, you know what? Fine. Yeah, I get it. He's like, you know, you're at a 90. 90 is an A minus. The fuck is 5 points? Yeah. Go for 95. And you know what? While you're at it, if you're going to go for the 95, dude, just go for the 100. Mm. It's right there. So before you know it, that becomes the mindset. It's like, let me apply myself, give everything I have to everything I do because my name's attached to it. I care about it. It's a principle. It's part of who you are. And again, it's not about the outcome. It's not about the fucking test. It's the fact that you chose to apply yourself and give everything you had. That's the meat of it. That's what matters. The test could have been bullshit. Could have been rigged. There could be no right answers on the test. It's not about the test. It's the fact that you applied yourself and who you had to become in pursuit of chasing that 100 or building towards that 100.
Yeah, I love that analogy because it just shows like life is a step-by-step process. You got to go to step 1 before we get to step 10. And everybody nowadays, especially because what they see online is like, man, I got to be rich and famous tomorrow. And like, yeah, maybe it could happen for you or it could take you 10 fucking years. And I think that's the best part about being a little bit older, and it's weird saying old when we're in our 20s still.
Well, don't wrap me into that.
You're
definitely older.
Us old guys over here, we have the blessing of being able to see things online and appreciate them instead of comparing and becoming jealous of them, right? When you're 18, 19 and you see a guy that looks rich and famous and he's got all the girls and he's doing these different things, you're like, man, I envy that so badly that now I want to change my entire life and go do that. Like, oh, maybe I am passionate about gymnastics, right? And then you take a step back and like, no, I'm not. And now at this age, I can really see and appreciate a 17-year-old kid making millions online and doing TikToks. Like, great. I'm not going to now stop everything that I'm doing to go and chase that facade that may not even be real. But if it is real, that's awesome for him. You know, I think you appreciate different lives for what they are, but then you align with certain things. I could watch somebody that's doing what I do, other podcasters, other TikTokers or content creators or other jiu-jitsu practitioners and be like, you know what, that's where my life really is right now. I can appreciate it, yes, but I can also learn and be inspired by it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's you find a passion grows from a seed of interest, right? And we all have something, you know, and then it's about pursuing it, you know, applying yourself enough to pursue it, give yourself, and there's going to be, usually we gravitate towards the stuff that we're most good at, talented wise, because that gives us a head start.
Yeah.
At some point, we will hit a wall and it will get hard. But usually it's good to start. Like for me, I'm pretty much built for lifting. I would say I'm probably built for wrestling too, but lifting for sure, right? Probably not the NBA though. So being 5'5" on a good day does not help you dunk.
No.
So I gravitated towards this over basketball, let's say, right? So that gave me a head start. That gave me just enough juice to just keep going, keep working, fell in love with it. And now I've hit tons of adversity, right? But it's okay because I'm passionate about it. I'm in it. I love it. And I love who I'm becoming as a result of it, right? And so that's the idea is you find something you're passionate about, you can pursue it relentlessly, have faith in the vision, have faith in it. Obviously, in my opinion, you trust in a higher power as well. But either way, you're going to get there. You have to keep working though.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It'll never stop. There's no metric, there's no accomplishment, no goal that you'll ever achieve that will ever be enough because it's not about that. It's genuinely, I think that's the art of being human is it's how can I carve and cultivate and sculpt myself into the greatest being on earth that's relative to me, right?
Yeah.
My potential. That's the whole journey. That's what it is. How far can I get? And I do believe that we are hardwired that way, even if it's not relative to like your typical, go-getter, Western civilization, gotta climb the hierarchy chain. What if if it's quite literally, I want to be the best fucking parent I can possibly be, love my children unconditionally. What can I give them? How much can I sacrifice that they have the best life possible? Yeah. What does that look like? So maybe that mother, instead of going out on Friday nights drinking at the bar with her friends, she's home now and she's reading with the kids, right? I'm not going to pretend like I understand those situations, but you see the analogy, like you see what I'm trying to get at, right? Yeah. So that's the idea, and I think that we're all kind of in that, But yeah, I chose powerlifting, and you chose jiu-jitsu.
Well, I didn't.
But we've
choose
got other
jiu-jitsu.
things.
This is my hobby.
Jiu-jitsu chose you.
No, that is my hobby. That is your career. They're very. Let's make that very clear. I am not getting paid to perform jiu-jitsu and roll around with sweaty man. Not yet. I asked you before, are you content with your daily habits? The answer was a stern
resounding
no. Resounding no. What do you think you could be doing differently or better right now?
I think I could definitely be more efficient and more productive for sure. And there's a couple layers to that, but I've improved dramatically over the last year or two. My discipline, my habits, the systems I've put in place. But again, it's no different than, like I said before, it's like, okay, I know what the output is that I want and we're still not getting that. So what do I need to change and how do I change it? And what systems do I need to build to instill that change and create a consistent change so that we get those outputs? So I'm just not at that level. But the thing is, I won't ever be at that level. It's just always going to be, okay, what else? So that's why I'll never be satisfied or happy with it. I'm very proud of how far I've come, as an individual in creating my daily habits and stuff. But, I'm still human. And the reality is there's always going to be something else that I'm going to want to manipulate, change, or, whatever.
Yeah, it's funny because I think you are like, you succumb to what you believe everybody thinks about you. So we joke around like that you're late or I'm late. We bust balls about it. For you to ever escape that is extremely difficult because now you have outside influence telling you you're the late guy. So now when you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, well, I got some time because I'm known as being a late guy. But that's something for you that if it ate at you and you want to change that, you got to drastically change it. And you got to convince people otherwise. And that's a difficult mountain
more or less,
to climb.
or maybe that's just an excuse for me not making the change. I mean, what is it? I wake
that's
up
my point. But
on
that's,
time,
But that excuse is sometimes hard to escape because it's coming from everywhere. If I was known as, let's take it opposite, right? Like if I'm known as like the party guy, right? And I don't want to let people down, but I hate drinking and I'm over this lifestyle that I'm living. For you to go from no, that's not me. For you to go, I
was hoping we were going to get a revelation
no.
here, but no.
Listen, I have a really good balance in my life. That is one thing, man. I have no problem saying no to a third drink. I have no problem going home early. I have no problem staying in an entire night. And I also have no problem having a good time. So like, I think I have full control. I've never let people influence me. Well, you're Johnny Drinks. You got to drink. No, the fuck I don't. I'm going to bed. But for you, like, that in that opposite sense, right? Like let's say you're known as this party person. For you now to let people down and go from 100 to 0, it's difficult. It makes it way harder for you than the person that's like kind of behind the curtains and behind the scenes to then go do these different things and make these changes. The changes that aren't as prominent in their life.
Well, that's why you need people around you who are close to you, who you can confide in, who will hold you accountable, and recognize the greatness within you and call you to that. As you should do with them.
Right.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I was going to take off an exercise today, and you said you can't do that.
Can't do that. No,
So
you were
why,
you were
bro?
gonna not just take off an exercise. You were gonna take off like 2 or 3.
I was.
Insane, dude. You got
Yeah.
a fucking competition coming up, and you allowed your mind to just like be like,
know.
yeah, it's cool.
I was
no, man, you can't
tired.
do that. What was that about balance?
I was tired.
No, man. No.
It is important though. You have I know I watch you lift and I watch you train, and you're extremely disciplined. Like I've seen you do things that I would be like, all right, what's one set? I mean, let's get out of here. You're like, no, I have to do it. And even if that set didn't change you physically that much, it's like you said, it's the mental wherewithal to be like, I don't care if it's 1 set or 10 sets, I'm getting all of them done, and I'm not finished until they're all done.
It's the principle.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the principle. You have to, because again, dude, like if you think it's only going to show its head in your training, you're fucking kidding yourself. There's just no way. It's going to show up in every area. So like, what happens? I mean, do you want to get married at some point?
Yes.
Would you like to?
I
so
do.
let's say like you're married to the greatest fucking woman on earth, right?
yeah.
For you at least, right? If you're married to the greatest woman on earth for John Rondi, and all of a sudden you got some temptation, like, man, dude, like there's other women out there. I don't know if this is the one, blah, 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 right? If you allow yourself to be relaxed in that state, that could completely jeopardize everything for you, right? But where did it start? It started with this, because it's no different. The concept is the same. Everything is the same. It's what you allow. It's what you forego. It's the principle. And some people think that's a little too stuck up and serious. That's cool. I understand that. At least for myself, I know that if I allow myself to have that absence, to have that lapse there in one thing, it will show its head in other things.
Yeah, and I think it's an accumulation of like these letting yourself slip. Is like the analogy of like a plane. Like if it literally a degree difference in flight pattern, now it's going to like Guatemala versus
100%.
Florida.
It's a great analogy.
So like
Yeah.
it's like little things were in your head, like you're with your girlfriend, and you're like, oh well, I like the girl's Instagram picture. Who cares? It's not a big deal. And then it's like, oh, I like 2 of her Instagram pictures. And now I'm swiping about her story. And now when I'm at the bar, I'm flirting with girls. Like, where does it ever end?
Yeah,
until it's
and
too
I don't
late?
want to paint myself as if I'm fucking really good at this and perfect either.
You're a
I
great
make
boyfriend,
mistakes
dude.
all the time. 100%. And in every area of my life, I'm 100% flawed. I just, because of that, I recognize how powerful those decisions can be, you know?
Right.
And that's not even covering the idea of like what happens when you show up. Let's stick to just fitness or training or competition, right? What happens when you show up to the mat and now all of a sudden you're not as cocky, you're not as confident, you're nervous, and what do you get to think about? Fuck, I remember that one time I did take off. Did I give everything?
Yeah.
I mean, that day, just the fact that you have to question yourself deteriorates your confidence in your ability.
100%.
You don't want that. You know, and I can guarantee you, if you are going up against a worthy opponent or somebody who's bound to be great, I promise you that they put in the work. You know, and you have to assume that they have no weak points, no cracks in their armor, no kinks, right? And so it's your job to show up exactly like that.
Yeah, that is so funny, man, because again, you can lie to yourself for months on end and be like, I'm the shit, I'm super confident, who cares, one workout, I'm still destined to be great. And then you step on a mat or you step in a competition or whatever. Like, let's say it's life and you're in a business meeting, you know, that you think you prepped for. And then as soon as you're about to present, you're like, wow, I should have prepped way harder. And there's no better feeling than confidently going the morning of to whatever it may be and saying, you know what, I literally gave this prep my all. Whatever happens, happens. If I fuck up, I fuck up. But I have extreme confidence in myself. And more people should do those certain things so they know how important preparation really is. I just officiated a wedding for my buddy Tom and Jewel. And the reason I was the officiant was because I introduced both of them. But I would never have prepped as much as I did if it wasn't for Jewel. Like, she had me like clockwork on a weekly basis, presenting to her, and like little words, she'd be like, yeah, don't say that, say this. And I'd be like, is that really a big deal? She's like, yes. I'm like, okay. And I would do it again and again and again. And the day of, I go out there and no nerves. I feel like I did a pretty good job and everybody's, you know, giving me the kudos. But I almost like get fearful that like, oh my God, thank God for her, because if I didn't, I would have in a week been like, yeah, I'll prep something.
100%.
And I would have gotten up out there and be like, I'm not ready for this. So
People underestimate the level of preparation required for excellence. Yeah.
that's a very good point. And you're always better over preparing. Like, even if I over prepared for that thing, it's way better than me just showing up and be like,
A lot of times I'll try and over prepare and I'll still be under prepared.
right? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, you don't rise to the level of your expectations, you fall to the level of your training.
Well, that's why like your sport is so interesting to me, because like weightlifting is so different than a lot of other things because it's so like incremental, right? It's a literal number that you put on the bar. You know what that number really feels like and stands for, but your body and your mind doesn't. You know what I mean? If I've never touched 100 pounds, I don't know what that's supposed to feel like. And I put on my back, if you're kind of prepping for it and you're like, yeah, it's not that much weight, you're mentally going into that a little bit differently than like that 100 pounds is going to be impossible for you to lift. So like for you, your 750 squat seems super, super impressive, but I would assume in your mind, you're like, yeah, but I got 900 in the tank. I got 1,000 in the tank. And to say 1,000 pounds on your back to squat sounds literally impossible. But I know, knowing you, that you know one day it's gonna drop.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of it, once you get to a certain point as well, the true gravity of the weight doesn't exist on the bar. It exists in your mind, right? So if you can lift that, then whatever's on the bar will move. You know, we're not making stupid decisions either. You know, I'm not loading something that just looking at the numbers doesn't make sense.
Right.
Maybe there's some cases where I stretch, but it's no different than like, why would Tom Brady throw the ball outside of the stadium? Stupid. He doesn't even need to, right? So maybe he'd have to throw an 80-yard bomb at some point, but that's as bad as it's going to get. But he can train for that, right? It's the same thing. So yeah, man. I mean, it's and really, like, your body doesn't know numbers. People get so caught up with the numbers. It's just, it feels resistance. It feels weight, right? It just thinks, how the fuck do I survive? Oh, I survive by lifting this. That's what you're telling your body. So when you master your mind and your ability to enter that kind of fight or flight, I mean, really anything is possible. And so, but what is unique about my sport, which I think also makes it kind of simple, which is partly the beauty of it, and that it's so accessible to everyone. You know, you can practice exactly how you plan to play. It's almost like the teacher gives you the exam ahead of time and almost gives you the answers, and you just have to like practice that.
Literally.
Right?
Yeah.
And the better that you do that, time yourself, do all of it, the better that you do that, the better you'll perform. Right. Now, there are other circumstances, other variables that are outside of your control, you know, lots of different variables, especially at my level. But those will always be outside of your control. So yes, if you prepare enough, you can try to adjust for those things, pre-adjust for those things. But at the end of the day, it's just lifting weights.
The weight doesn't change. Like 700 pounds is 700 pounds no matter how you slice it. You know, like in competition, you don't know who's going to show up for yourself or for the other person. But I think that kind of roots you. It's like, I don't care if I'm tired. I don't care if I'm happy or sad. That weight is the exact same. So I have to go and move it. And that's probably it is why certain stimulants are banned, like Adderall and the obvious ones. But, you know, you would think Adderall would have no impact on a weightlifter and muscle. But like you said, the mind is so important and it's so powerful that somebody on Adderall could bring themselves to a different place than the normal quote unquote human can. And I think that's fascinating.
Well, it's your central nervous system. A big part of powerlifting that people forego is the neural adaptation. So there's multiple phases to like a powerlifting program, and maybe this is debated, but I would say that most people would agree with this. You have like a hypertrophy phase, a strength phase, a peak, and a taper. All right. So yeah, the purpose of a hypertrophy phase is exactly what it sounds like. You're building muscle, right? So like most bodybuilders pretty much only exist in a hypertrophy phase, more or less. Then you have a strength phase. The idea is to take this muscle, let's make it strong. So you have to make it strong. That means introduce a stimulus that forces it to adapt in a way that makes it stronger, lifting heavier weights, right? Maximum force expression. Not only that, but strength is specific. It's a skill. We talked about this in the gym earlier. It is a skill. So what are you being strong in? Right? It's very different to lift a 200-pound man overhead. I can't do that, but I can definitely barbell press 225. Right? So it's a different kind of strength. What is the skill? For powerlifters, squat, bench, deadlift. All right, cool. So strength phase, building strength in the skill. Now you get into the peaking phase. A lot of the peaking phase, people think like the 1 rep and all that stuff doesn't make you stronger. What it does is it actualizes your strength. You're taking all of the strength potential you have. It's like this glass. This glass is my potential for strength. The amount of water in here, that's the actual amount of strength I have. So I can have a massive glass, tons of muscle, all sort of shit. But if I have no fluid in there, no strength. The idea of the strength phase and the peaking phase is to fill that glass up, right? All right. Now, obviously, ideally, the bigger the glass, the more potential you have to be stronger, right? Okay. So the peaking phase is neural adaptation. So you're getting your body accustomed to and adjusted to lifting the heaviest weights you possibly can, essentially, and doing it with good technique, good positioning, all of that stuff. That's why you're not really trying to completely destroy your body during peaking phase. You're prioritizing your recovery towards low rep, high weight stuff, because the idea is the neural adaptation. You need your central nervous system to be on and to be adjusted to the weight, to be accustomed to that. That's where things like Adderall and psychostimulants, you know, hard drugs like that will come into play, because the effect they have on your central nervous system is just ridiculous. Your body doesn't have a choice.
When you say psychostimulants, what else are people taking?
Well, any caffeine's a psychostimulant. Obviously, it's a weaker psychostimulant, but I mean, anything could be Vyvanse, Ritalin.
Have you ever taken any of these to train?
Yeah, not to train. No, in college, like my freshman, sophomore, junior year, I would take like Adderall around the time of finals and stuff like that. This was all before I was competing.
Obviously,
yeah, but I would say that like I had one experience where, and I really didn't take it much. I mean, it was just your typical kind of college experience where if I had to really stay up late and grind on a paper or something like that, I was like, okay, coffee's not going to cut it. All right, cool, whatever. I'll take 10 milligrams of Vyvanse or something like that. Yeah. But what I will say is I had one experience where I had taken some Adderall for, I had 2 finals on like a Friday or something like that. And I was competing in like 2 or 3 weeks. And so I was like nearing the end of like a really heavy block. And I stayed up all night, studied for everything. Adderall's an appetite suppressant, so really wasn't eating, wasn't hungry, kind of dehydrates you. So dehydrated, underfed, stayed up all night, still hit PRs in the gym that day later when I went to train, and I could have done even more. I hit like a 30-pound deadlift PR. It's not that magically my body was stronger, it's just that my body had no choice but to be on, to be activated. Every motor neuron in my body was firing, and that's what it was. So it's almost like this like intrinsic like fight or flight is turned on. Yeah. That's why sometimes the crash can be so harsh. Right. So that's, there's a lot of stimulants that are banned. Like, all of that stuff is you can't use that in competition. So like if I were to use Vyvanse, like one of my mentors thinks that I definitely have like ADD or ADHD. So I should try Vyvanse. So maybe we'll see. I'm going to see a psychiatrist about it. But I'm not too keen on like relying on drugs to live my life.
You don't seem like it. I mean, listen, if you're painted as someone that has ADD, like who the fuck doesn't then? I feel like you're very like hyper.
I'm not organized. I've got a lot going on, and a lot of times, like I wait not to the last minute, but I need pressure and deadlines to really get me revving.
Yeah, so do I.
So, but for people like us, it's very common that we actually do have some form of it. I don't know. We'll see. But either way, like I would need an exemption letter, and I definitely can't take it within competition if I did. Oh. Yeah, I know. Crazy. So
dude, you would be lifting.
But like even DMAA, dimethylene, DMHA, those are all banned stimulants that a lot of pre-workouts have that I cannot take.
That's what they're taking like in the 90s and shit.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want to take it either. It's so bad for you, dude.
Is it?
It's so bad.
You just crush 1,000 milligrams of caffeine. Is there a certain dose level of caffeine that you can't take?
Technically, but it's so hard to reach that.
How do they fucking...
I mean, I get urine and blood tests. Urine is the most accurate. So all my random out of meat tests, they'll just show up to my house at a random time. If I'm not home, they'll call me, and I got to get home within 60 minutes of being notified. They test me.
What?
Yeah.
What if you're on vacation?
I know.
What happens?
I know. Well, technically, you'd get a strike because what you're supposed to do is update your calendar so that they know your whereabouts.
Wow, man.
Isn't that is crazy? I told them, I was like, look, I understand the whole random aspect, but I wish you would test me like every week so I can never be on anything, but so that I don't have to like update you on shit.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Like it's super fucking annoying because it's not like they pay me, you know what I mean? So it's like all my business, everything that I do, even outside of fitness, I built it. Like I created it. So it's like I pay my dues, I'm a member, I do also the shit, and now I have to like answer to who, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I do get it because,
do they watch you pee?
That's fine. Yeah, they have to. Oh, 100%.
They're like, go ahead.
They have to check everything, make
sure.
Really?
They fluff you up too or no?
You would like that.
Yeah, come on. Like, get something out of it, man. These random tests.
I love these tests.
All right. Random test again.
Come back tomorrow.
Hell yeah.
Hey, I think I'm on drugs, guys.
Don't check my Adderall. Oh, man, that's good stuff. Have you ever had an issue with the testing?
No.
You're always pretty clean.
No, I've never gotten popped for anything. I wouldn't be able to compete if I did.
You get popped one time, you're done.
Depends on what it is, but almost always you will get at least a year suspension. At least. So if it's a stimulant, you'll probably get at least a year. If it's like an anabolic, yeah, good luck.
How much longer do you want to stay natural?
Oh, as long as I can.
When you say that, as long as you can, what are you waiting for?
If the quality of my life drastically decreases to the point where I can barely function, then I will consider TRT or something like that. Especially like, I want to have a family, and I'm very ambitious. I'm very driven outside of powerlifting. This is just one part of my life. I've got other massive aspects of my life that I put a lot of energy into. If I get to a point where I just can't even function and rev and do all that.
Yeah, I got you.
Plus training, plus taking care of my family, all that stuff. Like, I'm going to die at some point. You know what I mean? So I feel like I'd much rather just go on TRT or, supplement something like that and have a higher quality of life, than to not. I'd imagine if that was going to happen, it'd probably be around like 50 years old or so.
So there's not
55.
like a number that you'd be like, all right, my total is now
Oh, fuck
21.
no.
Oh, really?
Hell no, bro. Dude, there are people, even in bodybuilding. In bodybuilding, we all know you have to take drugs to be anything in that sport.
Sure, yeah.
There are people who don't compete in bodybuilding who either on drugs or natural who are making 10 times more money than guys who are on the Olympia stage. So it's like, what are you doing it for? It's one thing if you're doing it to be the best in your sport, 100%. That's one avenue. But if you're doing it for financial success, clout, whatever it is, you're lying to yourself. You don't need it. It's easier, I think, because of course you'll be able to maintain a certain particular physique or whatever. But like Gordon Ryan, I don't know what the drug status is of all these top athletes, but let's say he was on drugs, right? It kind of makes sense because his whole career is built around being the best. And if he's allowed to be on drugs, it's kind of like, all right, like, what are we
Why
doing
wouldn't
here?
I be? Yeah.
Right. But in powerlifting, it's not like that. You don't have to be on drugs to be the best. And there are federations for each. So if you want to be untested, you can go untested.
What is the total world record for 93 kilos untested? Like, how far are you away from that? And who has it?
I don't know. I think it might be like 916 or something like that, or 916 kg. So I'm not sure, but I don't think it's that high.
Like Ed Cohen was enhanced,
Oh yeah.
and he wasn't. And what was his total?
Don't know, but it was crazy.
Right.
Actually, I really don't know how big the untested total, especially raw untested. I don't know what it is, but it's not. I don't think it's that crazy.
It's not like that far out of reach for you to be able to do it naturally.
I don't think so, man.
Really? That's
Yeah, I
crazy.
don't think so. I don't want to regret saying that, but I don't think so. I could check, but I don't think so.
Is that a goal of yours to beat the enhanced record?
Not necessarily. I have nothing against enhanced lifters. It's just not my sport. It's two totally different sports in a way. Yeah. My goal is to be the best undisputed powerlifter, period. And to me, that means a couple things. One, 2 weight class champions. So win open worlds at 93 and 83. I've only won junior
83?
world so far at 93. Yeah, bro. Cut down to 83. Why not? I could do that. It's 183.
Buddy,
Dude.
you're
Yes.
210 right now.
Yeah. And a little chubby.
A little.
Exactly.
You think you could?
100%.
So okay, so you want? Is that your next cut? Is that your going to go?
No, I think we're gonna. So 2 weight class champion. The other aspect is 10 times body weight total at 93 would be 6. That's 930 kg. That'd be a massive world record, and I would definitely be undisputed, the best 93 to ever live.
You'd be in the history books.
Ever. Yeah. So that would be the first goal, which I think is totally possible, 100% right now. And we may even push that limit a little bit further. Really? So we have that. What else do I want to do? Win Sheffield. Sheffield is a big competition. It's like champion of champions, that kind of thing. And then after that, it's kind of like, all right, what else is there? Like there's the World Games. So right now I'm an alternate for World Games. So because I didn't go to the most recent World Championship, unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to solidify my spot for the World Games. But because of my performance at NAPF, I'm like the next runner-up. So essentially, if somebody drops out, I'll be able to go to the World Games, which is like right below the Olympics.
Really?
Yeah. It's in China. It's going to be a sick thing. Big thing.
Doesn't Jesus just win Sheffield by a mile every year?
No.
Oh, really?
No, not even close. He won the first Sheffield. First of all, he's very strong. But the way that you win the Sheffield is
It's
by
percentage,
breaking
yeah,
the
I'm
world
sorry.
record
Yeah.
of your weight class. So, yeah, no, it's not as clear-cut and easy.
What did he squat this year?
I think he squatted around 1,013 or 1,100. I don't know. It gets a little fuzzy after you get past
right.
fucking 5 digits or 4 digits,
How
whatever.
big is he?
He's got to be around 400 pounds, 380, 400 pounds. Yeah, he's a big dude, bro.
How tall is he?
6'1".
Oh, I thought he was taller.
No, dude. His whole family, I don't know what the fuck they were fed. Huge, but big bone motherfuckers. Like they, bro, they're walls.
Where are
they're
they from?
walking tanks. They're Mexican. They're Mexican, dude. Yeah, they look Samoan, but they're Mexican.
Nah,
Dude.
they must be the biggest Mexicans ever.
Gotta be, right?
They
But
probably walk around there like
huge.
superhumans.
His whole family's like that. That's the thing. All of his brothers, they're all just like the nicest guys in the world,
He
like
seems like
really
this dude.
sweet individuals, like family men, like really great people. Huge.
I didn't realize 6. I thought at least 6'4". Like just looking at him.
No, 6'1".
You can look at a guy that's 6 foot and be like, all right, that's a good eye level.
Yeah.
Anybody that's like over 6'4", it's like awkward for me
no.
to talk to you.
No,
I have
it
to like
is.
lean on something. To
Oh,
talk to you.
100%. 100%.
Like Corey is just at that like cusp of like I can hang out with you and talk to you.
Yeah.
If you were any taller, I'd be like, dude, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, this is just not working.
I had the guy John how do you say his last name? Scafidi, I forget. I had him on the podcast the other day. Great dude, and I didn't realize how big he was. He stood up in the lobby. I was like, hey man.
Yeah.
I had to, like,
it makes you
walk
feel pretty inferior,
I
doesn't
walked
it?
by him. I was like, it makes you stop and think like, man, I could train for my entire life, and this dude literally could pick me up on my head and throw me around. Like
There are some physical specimens that unfortunately, like I think, are unkillable. Like I genuinely
that
think
man
they're-
would take at least 3. How are you taking him down? Like, what do you do? And it's funny. Like now, when I train, I always like to like try to translate it over to like if God forbid I had to get in a fight.
Yeah.
Normally for self-defense, like if this man was on top of me, I can't relax here. So I try to go for bigger guys.
Yeah,
Like anybody
yeah.
that's 250 plus, I'm like, okay, real life situation. And what do I do? And now I find myself training a lot more scared, which is like kind of a good thing because I had this dude like 240 the other day on top of me, hands like this. And I'm like, man, if we were in the streets, I would be deathly afraid of getting being below him.
Yeah.
And you just got to do whatever you
But
have
no,
to.
but in all seriousness, now I'm not saying I'm a fighting expert, but everyone has a weakness. So you
You're
would
nuts.
find that.
Your nuts and your
Well,
eyeballs and your
no,
and
but I
your-
mean
and your
like
throat.
tactically, like okay. So for example, if it's a bigger individual, someone like Jesus, right? It'd be like really hard to take him down. I'm just using him as an example. There is no way his cardio is going to keep up nearly enough for him to use whatever he's going to use for more than 2-3 minutes. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Now he may only need 2 to 3 minutes, but if you're skilled enough, you can find a way. You're faster, you're quicker, right? There's no way if you start chipping at his knee, chipping at his ankles, like. Come on, you throw in some really hard Muay Thai kicks to the knee, to the shin, not many to the quad. Even you give somebody a dead leg, like he's 400 pounds. You give him a dead leg in one leg, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of tact. Now listen, I know I'm just
You're
like
nut
some
kicking
fucking.
at that point, man. You got a guy that big, you're kicking in the nuts. I don't care who you are.
I know I may be a bit delusional, but I feel like there's nobody like everyone's got a weakness. You know what I mean?
For sure. But at 400 pounds, man, because you better hope he didn't start the fight. Because he starts the fight, and you're like, wait, no, and he's on top of you. I don't care what your jiu-jitsu skills are like. You
No,
are
I
fucked.
I know.
That's a
The tall ones are hard because you can't reach.
damn, like, you motherfucker.
Yeah.
Man. Okay, so that's next for Gavin. 83 kilos would be after that fact. That would be a pretty drastic weight cut for you, though.
It would be.
How long do you think it would take for you to get down to?
I would want at least 3 to 4 months to prep for that. I think it's possible to do that without losing much muscle or strength, if any. The goal would basically be total 930 minimum at 93, 900 at 83, which is basically do exactly what I just did, but at 83 kilo class. And 2 weight class open world champion, win Sheffield. And then really like there's so many other things that I'm using powerlifting as a springboard for that, depending on how long it takes me to do that, I may not need to do much more else in the sport.
Like what? What else do you want to do? Share with us, please.
Well, one thing I can't really talk about just yet.
Oh, it's hidden. Secret.
Yeah, but obviously the content side of things is huge. We're really trying to scale that up. And then launching the new training app. I've put out several iterations over the past, but I am a perfectionist and I really want people to have a positive experience, the best experience with it. So I've constantly made pivots, and finally we're in a position where launching with a new software, tons of programs, the community, video research, all that stuff. We're really going all in on this, and that'll be launching pretty soon. So the training app is going to be big. Unfortunately, the big project that I've been putting a lot of time, energy, and money into, that one I can't talk about just yet. But all the other stuff, dude, just like brand partnerships and stuff. It's not so much about the finances. It's more so just about the audience and building trust with my audience and allowing people to have just access to more value. So awesome. That's why with the Carbon Diet app, it was huge because that's what I use to get down. It's basically like an AI nutrition coach, and it takes your data real time, and the more data you put in, the better it's going to be, and it basically just adjusts everything for you. So it's actually really cool. I really like it, and it's exactly what I used to finally get down without losing my strength, without losing muscle, and it made this cut the most seamless I've ever had a cut be. And I just started partnering with them, so I do have an affiliate link with them. But honestly, dude, like they've got over I think it's like over 50,000 members or something like that so far. So it's huge. Let's
explain. So we'll put the link in the description of this episode. The Carbon Diet app. are they explain to them what they will be getting when they download?
Yeah, so when you download, you can sign up for a membership month to month. I think the cheapest membership is like $6 a month, so you pay like $80 for the year.
Wow.
Yeah, or the most expensive would be is like $10.99 or no, $9.99 a month, month to month. Obviously, cancel whenever you want, and essentially it is like an AI nutrition coach. So when I logged in, just put in some basic information, and then when it starts out, it needs data to learn you better, right? It's AI. So when it starts out, it'll give you a general guideline on your macros, right? You can select which days you'd want to have more or less. You select a goal, lose, maintain, gain. And it's literally like your own personal AI coach. So over time, the more weight check-ins you do, the more like you actually have to track your macros, the more you scan in, all that stuff, it will adjust for you over time, and it just gets that much better for you.
That's
so
awesome.
it's really cool. Yeah, it's in my opinion, it's almost like the concept of compounding interest. It just gets better and better and better the more you put into it. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, where can they find you, Gavin Adin?
I am on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube primarily. Instagram, it's at Gavin_Adin. And then TikTok, it's at GA Training. I'm excited to ramp that up, man. I feel like we're gonna hit a stride soon.
Listen,
if I can incentivize you enough. Yeah. And then YouTube is just Gavin Adin. Definitely starting to ramp that up. I'm very, very excited about that. But yeah, man, outside of that, I mean, I work with My Protein as well, so sometimes people will see me on their pages. Yeah, brother, I'm excited. We'll see what comes next, but I'm excited.
I'm excited. Congratulations on the recent win, and I am excited to see what the future holds for you.
Yeah, likewise, brother.
That's it. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, guys. Cheers.